Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to tell you why we do not need the so-called national dialogue and why the Kenyan problem is not what you are being told. The Kenyan problem is economic, and this problem can only be solved by us forming a transition government, not rushing to form IBC, so that we can think as if the Kenyan problem is political. First and foremost, let us not frame the Kenyans' growing discontent as a tribal fight between the Kalenjin and the Kikuyu communities. The real concern is not ethnic rivalry. The real concern is not who is not in government and who is in government. I can see even some Luos are being dragged into the fact that they're in government. They are not in government because numbers don't lie. We have Luos in government as CSS, 2. We have Luos in government as PSS, 2 of them. But do you know that we have 18 PSS in government for Mount Kenya? Do you know that we have 8 CSS in government for Mount Kenya? So arithmetically, Luos are not in government if Kikuyus are not. Because if Kikuyu are being told they are not in government, yet they have 18 PSS and 8 CSS, how can Luos be in government if they only have 2 CSS and 2 PSS? So let us not be told that somebody's government, we have the government of Kenya, that's what the constitution considers. So there's nothing like Kenya Kwanza government, broad-based government. We only have one government called the government of Kenya. The real issue in Kenya is leadership. William RUTO has failed not because he's a Kalenjin. William RUTO has failed because he does not have leadership attributes. William RUTO is the only president of Kenya who has no professional background. I said earlier that Kenyatta worked as a water meter reader in Nairobi County. That was his first job. The second president of the Republic of Kenya, who is Daniel Arap Moi, was a teacher. The third president, Mwai Kibaki, was an economist, a teacher, a lecturer. Uhuru Kenyatta worked in Kenya Commercial Bank, so he was a banker for some, if you want to say that. William Ruto's first job was Youth for Kanu 92 and then MP. So leadership has led to economic degradation in Kenya. Lack of leadership has led to the collapse of healthcare. Lack of leadership has led to a broken healthcare system, which does not connect to job creation that has brought the largest youth unemployment in the history of Kenya, and is growing very fast. So these are not tribal problems. They are Kenyan problems. These problems are Kenyan problems, not any tribe's problem. And I want to say, is a mantra that injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. If the death of Albert Ojwang is anything to go by, the day Ojwang was killed, all Kenyans in all villages, all of them were mourning, and all of them were mad. Sabasaba Day was that serious because people went to mourn Ojwang, and it was actually enhanced. The 25th of June commemoration was enhanced by Ojwang's death. Can you imagine somebody burning a tire in Mount Kenya to protest the death of Ojwang? Can you imagine someone burning a tire in Eldoret to protest the death of Boniface Mwangi? It simply tells you that the problem is not tribal. It is never going to be tribal. It will never be tribal. The problem is Kenyan, and injustice to any Kenyan is injustice to all Kenyans, because you just don't know when it will actually affect your family directly. A bullet will come knocking to you. Now they are saying they'll shoot your leg. This leg, the bullet does not know that this tribe, the bullet should not hit their leg. The bullet will hit all of them. So someone is not supposed to mislead you. So there is no need for dialogue on those issues. The Kenyan problem is leadership. So long as we have the leadership that is clueless, is incompetent, grossly corrupt, there is no need of dialogue with someone who will not be able to implement anything in your dialogue. There have been so many dialogue, an article. What happened? There are so many things that RUTO has given as a report, even for education, education, healthcare. Every report has been given to him, never taken. So it's a leadership issue. A president that cannot listen to Kenyans. We want a shepherd leadership. Someone who can actually listen to Kenyans, like Jesus says in the parable of the shepherd, that the shepherd needs to know you, you need to know your shepherd. You need to know their voice, you need to know their smell, they need to know your smell. And you can't know someone without listening to them. So you see, if you want to know the president does not care, they are calling for dialogue, they are calling for conclave, yet they rush to swear in IBC. What if the constitution or reconstitution of IBC is one of the elements in the dialogue? I'd say it clearly that we need national transition government to oversee this problem we are having. RUTO cannot lead us through an election. Whether they are in broad-based government with ODM or not, they cannot, because they lack integrity, like we have a broad-based IBC. So with these kind of things, we require a transitional government, because someone cannot tell you, come with dialogue, when they are carrying a gun aiming at your leg, then you have not even a knife, and telling you, let us dialogue. Dialogue needs equal playing field, needs some level of equality. So this dialogue can only be carried upon when we have a transition government that is neutral, and this transition government should come in to hold Kenya in trust for 2.5 years. After that, we can have an election, and William Ruto is allowed to contest again, but we are asking him to take a cool-off period of 2.5 years. We call it let it breathe. There's a song said, when love hurts, it won't work. So the love that Ruto thinks he has with Kenya is not working. Let it breathe. Just breathe. Let somebody come in and put system in place, ensure there's the right IBC which is not compromised, ensure that unites Kenya back so that we go to an election. When there's no shouting like one term, half term, we go through an election when it is neutral through a transition government. For the sake of the peace of this country, I warn you, please, let's all call for this transition government that will allow Ruto to come back through an election. He has lost the social license to rule Kenya. The only thing to do is to go back for it and get it back from the people. Because if I are saying no more, they have said Ruto must go. So why, if you believe you are the right person, why not take time off and come back after you have been elected by the people? So IBC is the agency he's putting, because the most important thing for William Ruto is the election. That's why we need the transitional government that is neutral to help guide us through Kenyans. And I believe that if we take this advice, it's not against the president. It is just about the country. William Ruto says that if there's no country for him, there's no country for us, which means if he's not the president, we'd rather all die. The words which have been stated by his CS Interior and himself and other people really says that there is a need for us to have a transitional government to smoothen things, and then we come back. Thank you very much. God bless you. God bless Kenya. Let us be patriotic. Tuwe wazalendo milele. Asante.